Hi everyone, I'm Zach Reinhardt, here to review the new Cornelius record, Mellow Waves. Now, Cornelius is the solo project of Mr. Oyamada Keigo, who should really need no introduction at this point, but if you're not aware, here's a quick overview of his history. He started out in the band Flipper's Guitar, which was a very influential band in the early Shibuya Kei scene in the late 80s and early 90s. He went on to work with everybody from fellow Shibuya Kei giants Pizzicato 5 all the way to the Yellow Magic Orchestra and Toate and their kind of Japanese supergroup Meta 5. But he really gained worldwide acclaim with the release of his 1997 album under the Cornelius name, Phantasma, which was a landmark record and still is essential listening if you're trying to get into Japanese music. And he's always taken his time between records. It wasn't until 2001 that we got a follow-up to Phantasma with the also very solid album, Point. And it wasn't until 2006 that we got his last album, Sensuous. But it's been 11 years since we've heard from him. And while I am excited and was excited leading up to this record, I am a big believer that if you don't use it, you lose it. So I was unsure how a Cornelius record would sound after all this time. But I am happy to report back that this is a worthy return for Cornelius. Now, getting into the track listing itself, this thing kicks off with the track Anata ga iru nara, which was a single for the album and had a really awesome music video that came out with it, link in the description. The song starts off with some very minimal drums and some very soulful, soft, and smooth panning keys that bounce from ear to ear. It has some complex, kind of jazzy chords that are incredibly smooth and just wash over you when you listen to the song. Cornelius's soft vocals add to the relaxation that the song starts with. And the drums, though kind of jittery and minimalist, don't get in the way of this atmosphere in any way. The song progresses smoothly for a couple minutes until we are met with, rather early in the song, the first guitar solo, which I can only describe as genius. Each note in this guitar solo is simultaneously a surprise to the ears and is so meticulously crafted and well thought out that it could never have been any other note in the first place. The guitar solo constantly plays with your expectation. It syncopates and then it plays straight. It gets off time and then it gets back on. It slides off of your expected harmony and then comes back on to resolve nicely. And the whole time it's creating memorable moments of melody that are totally unique. And honestly, I've never heard anybody play a guitar solo quite like this, even on Cornelius's earlier records. And when I get to the end of the guitar solo, the resolution is so final and satisfying that I don't find myself wanting for more at all, despite how great it is, and the song progresses quite naturally from there into the next verse. On the bridge, we get these jittery, syncopated drums that are a lot busier and add a little bit of chaos into the mix, but the smooth, soulful keys that have been with us this whole time really hold it all together and make it a unique moment within the song, but it doesn't interrupt the flow of the song at all. And it really demonstrates just how well paced and well thought out these songs are. It might have taken 11 years to write a song this well written. And then immediately after the bridge, we are met with another guitar solo, which is somehow even better and more memorable and filled with more character and personality than the first one. The song builds a little bit from there into the next chorus and then resolves very nicely, and I am just blown away by this song, entirely floored by it. It is honestly completely amazing to me that anybody can write a song this good. The song is well paced in all aspects. Sonically, it's constantly shifting and building, and more layers are coming in, and we get more harmonic content. And rhythmically, there's constantly this shift as the drums get busier and busier and then die down a bit. Structurally, everything is just timed out so well that there's constantly a new surprise waiting around the corner on this song. There's so much to listen to in this song, and it all just comes together so well into one cohesive piece that I'm astounded. And that's not even to mention just how great the performances on here are. The drums sound awesome, the production is great, and like I said, these are some of the most interesting and just cool guitar solos I've ever heard. And the album continues this level of intrigue into the next song, Itsuka Dokoka, which starts off with these rhythmic, kind of looping drums that are very syncopated, but very lively and really well integrated into the mix, and a nice, very rhythmically played acoustic guitar part. We, of course, get some fat, bassy synthesizers, as we do on most of the tracks on here. And the song progresses sounding a lot more like a typical Cornelius track, dropping any of the R&B flavor that we were getting on the earlier track. And while this song, maybe just songwriting-wise, is not quite as deep and interesting as the first track was, the performances on here are just off the chart, really turned up to 11. The drums are awesome, especially once you get later into the song and they start really driving the song forward. The choruses are a lot more intense, and once again, we have a great guitar solo. This thing is noisy and distorted and contrasts completely with the acoustic guitar-driven choruses that we were getting before, but somehow fits into the song so naturally that it can just start off with these acoustic stuff, go into this noisy guitar solo, and then go right back into the acoustic stuff without dropping a beat and without even making me question any part of the decision making here. But unfortunately, I'm not quite as thrilled by some of the other songs on here. Particularly the songs Yume no Nakade and Mirai no Hitoe, which I find to be a little formulaic, a little predictable, and a little typical pop-ish for me. They're still very good, they're still very layered, and they're still identifiably Cornelius songs. But they're not quite as just intriguing and well-written and unique as the opening two tracks on here are. I'm also not a huge fan of the guest vocals from Lush's Miki Berenyi on the song The Spell of Vanishing Loveliness. But the rest of the songs on here are really well done, really intriguing songs. Particularly Surfing on Mindwave Part 2 and Helix Spiral are two of the more instrumental, kind of atmospheric songs. They're a little bit more ambient. They're just built on building sounds rather than having catchy melodies or something. And these songs are just so meticulously thought out, well-paced. There's not a boring moment on any of these songs. And while these super ethereal, pretty kind of synth pads of the song Surfing on Mindwave Part 2 aren't really to my taste, I've got to admire just how well crafted the song is. We also get some nice just guitar tracks, like the song The Rain Song, which is fairly minimalist and is built mostly on just layered vocals and a pretty steady acoustic guitar backing track. The song has some assistance from some electronics and some sampling, but really it's carried by just this very simple acoustic guitar part and some really pretty vocal harmonies and just layering of sounds. There's another really awesome and great guitar solo on the song Mellow Yellow Feel, and the closer is a beautiful acoustic guitar duet that really wraps up the album very well. It's overall pretty relaxing and happy, but it toys with some elements of darkness and some elements of jazz within the harmony as well. And the song does have some backing synths and sampling, but the song is really carried by just some really solid guitar playing from Cornelius. And overall, this album is awesome. Am I floored by it in the same way I was when I first listened to Phantasma. Kind of. I mean, there are parts of this album that are really just incredible, well crafted pieces of songwriting. And this song is really a masterclass in how to pace a song and keep it interesting throughout. And it's also just a really great demonstration of how to make some really catchy, memorable, and easy to listen to, very accessible songs that are still experimental and don't just blindly follow a typical pop formula. It's very clear that Cornelius understands the rules of songwriting and chooses to break them very meticulously and very purposefully. So, overall, I love this album. I don't think it's perfect. I think there are some things that could be improved, and there are a couple tracks that underwhelm me a little bit. But overall, this song is an incredible just feat of songwriting and pacing and production, and really everything that goes into a song is done well and put on display here. I'm feeling a 9 out of 10. If it weren't for just a couple songs that I feel are a little underwritten in comparison to the songs that surround them, this could easily be a 10. But sadly, it's not quite there. But still, great album, and I highly recommend you check it out. This is Cornelius's new record. It's called Mellow Waves. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace.